Hi, my name is Benedict. I'm starting a new series because this is a thing that I still see people struggling with so much, and that frustrates me. The series would be on actually writing music, and there's a lot of basics that people don't get, understand where they don't want to get them, partly because they don't think that if they learn theory, it's going to be a thing they can learn, harmony, that sort of stuff. They think, oh, well, I can't learn that, or if I learn that, then those rules will ruin me. Just not true, unfortunately. I went through a phase of that too, but it's just not true. The more you know, the more you can do. But because people miss this, then they wind themselves into dead ends. And because of that, they then focus on all the wrong things, which stops them from being able to move forward. That adds to a lot of fear, and the whole thing goes round and round in circles. I don't like seeing that. It's no good for anyone. It also creates a lot more meanness out there in groups. So if anything we can do to overcome that is a good thing, I think. I am pushing now into coffee, the place where you go and give people tips for them having, as in pay them some money for them having added value into your life. I've avoided it till now, but it seems like a stable platform and system now. Not that it necessarily wasn't before, but it's well enough established. Most people, I think, recognize it now. Also, I've been doing this for decades now, and unfortunately, increasingly, there is no return. And that's because a lot of people have forgotten that this is value. When you watch a video or you read an article or something, somebody's given you value. If you've gotten value out of that, it's important to return that. And the problem that we've got now is that everybody seems to believe they should get everything for free. That's okay, but would you go to work for free? And that's become the problem, that I have people contact me privately expecting fully that I should work for free for them. Why? Just because they think that's how it works. And no, it doesn't. So one of the things that I am going to need to be able to do this and to make it continue to work is for people to actually return value. Obviously, the greatest thing that I would hope for is for people to go, that guy knows what he's doing, I'm going to hire him to help me get me there. Whether that's a teacher, helping compose, or doing the thing that I love the most, being the record producer, which probably means that I'd be doing things like mixing and mastering the project at the end. But if you're not willing or able to do that, if it's not where you're at for whatever reason, then please, if you're getting value from this, return that to me in a way that I can really see. Yes, sharing is good. Putting likes on things is okay, but a bit useless. Sharing them is good in that if you pick this up and move this into another group saying, hey, this guy is super. But you know what? Money talks. Everything else walks. Therefore, please hit the coffee button and actually, buy me virtual coffee. Send some value back here in terms of dollars, because if you're getting value from this, I am putting you ahead. There is far more value in this than there is in your buying another VST with the word pro on it in the vain hope that it's going to get you there. All right, this will be kind of the intro to this potential for series, which is sort of like simple songwriting, but we're going to look at some things a little bit differently. What happens is that people will start out with an idea. Here's an idea I started with a couple of hours ago. I made this sound, and it's like, oh, it's kind of like a nice upright bassy kind of sound. Made a line. Unfortunately, a lot of people at that point will get stuck. They're hoping to take it somewhere like, I don't know, but struggle to know how to go from there to here. And I'm going to say that trying to go from nothing, like just a basic idea, to this, what we will call a sophisticated finished piece, it's not, is probably the wrong way to go. What happens is that people start to do it and they go like, oh, it sounds like this and I suck so much. And that's really the wrong way to go. This is the path you want to go down. You want to be doing this. And it's nothing to do with genre. If you think it's got something to do with genre or what I'm saying doesn't work in your genre, you are wrong and you are causing yourself a lot of difficulty and everyone around you when you go telling them the same stuff. It doesn't matter what the genre is. Technically, we could possibly even say that I've changed genres from here to here. Stupid, but technically we might be able to say that. We've got to be able to allow our ideas to be what they are and to focus on the music. There is so much out there that says, no, you focus on the sound and the production because you're a producer. And you know what? No, you don't. The Beatles didn't spend their time focusing on a whole lot of other stuff until they had the music working. And then the production stuff happens, and then the mixing stuff happens. If we try to rush from here to here with no in-between, chances are we are just going to fall over and then feel really sorry for ourselves. This is where we want to go first. And again, get the idea of genre out of your head. The reason we want to go here is because this is exactly the same as what you're listening to here. It's just a little less affected, a little less processed. And that allows us to make sure that we've got music that works. Because what happens is when we go straight to making these sorts of sounds from the beginning, going, well, it's the only way I compose if I've got the perfect mixed, overproduced sound, the fashionable one, we actually run ourselves into a brick wall because chances are we can't really hear what the piece is trying to do at all. So I wrote this up like this, gave it a really nice mix for what I feel like it's doing, and then I said, how do I make it sound like the funky song? We're rough. New Kids on the Block. And that's how we get from one place to another. So let's look quickly through the build-up. If we've got just this bass sound, rather than going to drums, which is what most people would do, I moved to, well, what would be the next line? You can go one of two ways. I would often go to a melody, and I hear a lot of you going, but melodies are so uncool. That's so like, it's like, I'd rather kill myself than write a melody. And it's like, okay, but every song, especially if it doesn't have words, every piece of music has to have a lead. It has to have something that takes people somewhere. And if you don't have one of those, you're nowhere. Notice once we put in the funky stuff, we've reformed our melody. But that would be close to impossible to write well if we had all the funky stuff going on from the beginning. So we make sure that we've got everything right. And while that may not be Kiss or Cannibal Corpse or whatever is EDM this week, I really don't follow EDM, but the rules are exactly the same, then it doesn't matter because this is the point where we transition from one genre or style to another. So the next thing I could have written could have been the main melody, but if you're not so strong with melody, then you could start in the middle. So I've written something that's not super strong. It wasn't that I tried not to write something that's super strong, but just goes in the middle. So then when I have my melody, guess what? I've now got a counter melody. It's already there. And my melody is working around this line in the middle and also working around the bass line. So we now have a fully functioning piece of music. And you might go, oh, but this is useless, Benedict, because you're not showing me how to do that. Yeah, if people invest enough in this, then I will show you how to do these things. Not the funky bit, that's your business. Maybe I'll show it later, but how to get these fundamentals that you can turn into anything. If you're needing to question that before we get anywhere where we do the real work and this isn't enough, then go look at my simple songwriting series. There's a playlist here on YouTube, and look at the process and the formula, then look at the last entry, which is a doom song. And so I take this simple formula for writing any kind of song, and I show that it's not just going to write naff uncool songs. You can use it to write death metal too. Meaning that you can use it to write EDM, you can write EBM, you can write jazz, you can write whatever you want. It's still going to work if you learn how to do the basics. If you avoid the basics, you're going to keep falling over yourself. So we've now got working music. All the parts are there. We can get more complex and do fancier things, but we've now got everything we need. Now that I've got that, now I bring in the drums. And notice how our drums aren't trying to steal the show. Our drums are designed to work with the piece itself, and particularly to tie in with the bass. But as we add our extra parts, particularly our melody, hear how it falls and they work together. And then this guy back in. We've now got a really nice functional piece of music. If I were not just finished with an album and if I was in a writing phase, I would keep this and build it. The next stage then does become production. The first thing that I did, obviously as I always do, was I gave it a reverb space. We'll go into this later. And I didn't just add a reverb and stop there. I processed my reverb so that it actually sounds like something special. I then added processing to each of these. Hear how we've suddenly already started to get something a bit more? So let's go back through that. It's starting to move better. I gave everything a location in space. This is just for this exercise to get the levels up so they're more even with our ABs. So this, which is pretty flat, has now turned to this. It's got warmth. It may not be quite as loud because the other's normalized, but pretty flat and worrying in the sense that it's not got much coolth to it. Something that's now got space and warmth and coolth to it. We could add a few dB, as I said, but now we're happening. Our piece really, really works. Because I know a lot of you want to hear it as the funky song, then I said, well, okay, what can we do to the things that people are going to see as most unfunky? The first thing that I did was like, okay, well, let's be lazy and add a trance gate to this melody. Found something that was a bit weird, a bit out of the box, so rather than just doing the obvious. So it's changing our groove a little bit in its own kooky way, and then a little bit of the old tape stop because it's a lazy way of making things seem cool. Turns on, turns off at the end. And that's changed the feel of our piece from something that seems like not very good smooth jazz to something that's a bit kind of cool in its own way. And then this sound here, giving it some more of course, we got the usual mastery type things that we would do. We will have our piece going, tape, a little bit of groove compression, a bit of nice saturation, EQ to make it all work. We already had some saturation running, a little bit more welly to get us back up there. Check to make sure that it's working out in the real world. And we are good to go now with a song that started as being too interesting. Now, this is a real crash course out of which I do not expect you to get anything definite. So I'm going to, because he knows I don't always work in the turn this knob here, because that's useless. Because as soon as you've got a situation where that knob doesn't work in that position, you've got a dead end, and now you feel really stupid. So the aim is to help you to understand, okay, what's the thinking behind this? And the thinking behind this is that we can start with a simple idea in whatever works for us and expand that out by adding parts. And hear how nicely this works together now. Meaning that we've got another section right there where we can say, okay, copy this bit, mute string 1, or mute string 1, got a section, copy it again with string 1 muted, and either make another line or bring in a third instrument that's playing something else around this. Cool. We've given ourselves so many possibilities right now. Now, if I were composing, I would not have done all this and then go off and finish the rest of the piece. I would have finished the piece before I got too far into doing all of this. Otherwise, I again would just run myself into brick walls. There's not much point moving the brick wall from here to there if it's still going to stop you, because you haven't really achieved much. Your aim has to be to complete pieces that you are happy to publish and go again, because the more times you get to go again, the better. The problem is most people don't publish anything, therefore they don't get to go again, and it's the going again that's the real key. That's an intro to a lot of the stuff that I hope to cover. Please show interest by conversation. Likes are pretty useless now. Typing things, words in, Benedict, wonderful, that's cool, we're really pleased to hear you, that's good, but actually hitting that coffee thing and returning some dollars is what's really going to make the difference here. It's also going to help you be committed to this process of improving yourself. Have a great day.